So we got to see some of Patrick Surtain this second, and he was really good. You know, the thing about Surtain is I actually think he's, in a weird way, might end up being a statistical anomaly, because one of the things that I talked about a lot pre-draft is I don't want a slower corner. I want someone who can run a fast 40-yard dash. And it's not just me randomly having a thing about that. I'm an analytics guy. And you look at the numbers, and guys who run a sub 4.5 40-yard dash just perform way better than guys who run, who can't break that 4.5 threshold. And so we don't actually know if Surtain I believe it's going to be worse than 4.5 if he actually ran a 40. There was no combine, so all we got was pro day times, which are notoriously a little bit faster, so that's kind of the thing. But, that being said, the one thing I always bring up as well is it's not to say you can't be effective if you do not run fast. You just pretty much have to be elite at like a bunch of other traits to be effective in the NFL. Well, Surtain might be elite at all those other traits. He might legitimately, break the mold in that regard. I don't think it's crazy to say. And you watch the tape and you can see that, there's a very real possibility that he's just so good at everything else that he doesn't have to be fast. And so far through college, it's been the case. Again, in the NFL, especially once he starts playing against starters, it'll change a little bit. But as of right now, it's looking good for him. So let's start off with something small, like something like this. So it's going to be just a quick slant route over the middle, and watch what's going to happen. Look at how he just stays with that Minnesota player the entire way. Just a great job of sort of turning his hips, and his footwork is so good. His footwork and hips are just so elite that he can basically just stay with somebody like that. All the underneath stuff, he's incredible at. And even something like this, to this point, he has not had an issue with. This is the exact route that I have some concerns about, where it's a go route in man coverage with only a single safety deep. And the reality is, if it turns into a foot race, the reality is there are guys who can beat Surtain in a foot race, but watch how he puts himself in the best position to succeed here. There's really two things I want you to watch on this play. The first is going to be how he creates contact, and the second is going to be just how explosive he is at getting back. Watch him create that contact, and then he's so explosive that he's able to run with him for a good chunk. So he can basically be good for potentially 20 yards before some of these even faster receivers can really get by him. Now, at a certain point, I do think that there is still a chance guys can get by him, but that's okay because largely due to the system that Denver is going to be running, he's almost never going to be in this situation to begin with anyways, and he's even now not the worst at it. Here's the thing about Surtain. It's this play. This is the play for Surtain. A lot of what Denver is going to do is what Vic Fangio has done his entire career. It's a lot of cover 3 or quarters coverage, and this play isn't quarters, it's man coverage, but it's the same kind of idea where for someone like Surtain, he doesn't have to play press. And you don't really want him playing press because, again, he isn't the fastest guy, but he is maybe the most explosive guy. Those first couple of steps are incredible. It's Richard Sherman-like, another guy who was a statistical anomaly where he wasn't the fastest corner but was able to make things work. He's also another guy who is notorious for being mostly a zone corner. I could see a similar thing with Surtain, but listen, if Denver fans, if I tell you got Richard Sherman, they're saying, okay, thank you very much. I don't care about how his man coverage is. I will gladly accept that. What's going to happen here is it's going to be a route over the middle. You see Surtain, he's playing off. So he's the guy covering the route you see on the screen. He's playing relatively off, right? Part of it is it's a 3rd down and 5, so playing 7 yards off makes some sense. But the flip side is if you play this far off, well then on a route like this, it can be a quick throw, receiver makes the catch, he just runs forward, picks up a couple more yards, boom, you got the first down right there. So that's the danger, but it's not really that dangerous when you have someone like Surtain. And obviously I should mention the plus of playing this far off is he's not going to get beat deep unless he horribly misplays something. So watch, right when this play starts. So it's a quick cut, and Surtain, first things first, very good job of reading it quickly and moving in quickly, because that's another thing that I love about him is how high IQ of a player he is. He makes his reads very quickly, which, again, you have to. For someone like him, playing in the scheme he's playing in, he has to make these reads quickly, but he does. And then watch this break in. I mean, tell me that's not Richard Sherman-like. Like, that looks like he is Richard Sherman right there a little bit. And again, I don't want to put too much, pressure on him. We don't know if he'll be Richard Sherman. Okay, he had one good preseason game. I don't want to overreact too much, but the comparison, once it gets in your head, it's hard to get out of your head. Even something like this I love. This is back to the high IQ mindset where it's cover 3. You see where he's covering. There's a player running over the middle, and watch what's going to happen on this play, and it's not going to be Surtain's fault whatsoever. Like, watch, as you see. So, tight end gets wide open over the middle. I would say a linebacker probably should have picked him up. I don't put that on Surtain. I really don't. But anyways, you see that there is this wide open gap right there. Well, Surtain, I think, is doing a good job on this play. Because watch him do his best to run over and, cover up that route as best he can. Would it have been complete had the quarterback been looking there? Yeah, it would have. But again, I think one thing that we have to mention when we're talking about preseason is I care less about how the actual game goes, and I care more about what can I say about the player that I've watched. And to me, this is a good example of showing that he is someone who, if he sees a play breakdown, he can run over and still make the right read and come over and make a play. He knows how to do that. The reality is, in zone coverage, the best zone coverages are the ones where the players view their assigned area as a suggestion more than as a rule. Going back to Seattle, that's what they did. A couple years ago with the Bears, when Vic Fangio was there, that's what they did. I think back to the Jacksonville Jaguars in their Saxonville years, that's what they did. It's all that stuff. It's very good stuff. And then, of course, we got to talk about this one, right? We can't not talk about the pick 6. I mean, this was awesome. Right, so it's going to be zone coverage. I believe this is quarters coverage. It could be cover 3. It's hard to tell a little bit given the no all 22, unfortunately. But you see that there is an out route just underneath where Surtain is supposed to cover. And quite frankly, this is probably not a throw that should have been made, but nevertheless, watch how right when this play starts. So you're going to see how. So Surtain was a little bit behind, but again, it's that explosiveness, those first couple of steps, and the way he comes back. When he runs to the ball, he's much quicker than the average player. Now, again, I still stand by the straight line speed is a thing, but it's not as concerning when you're in a Vic Fangio defense. Like, that's the second they made this draft pick, I'm like, well, they got a great corner for this defense for sure. And look at him being able to have the ball skills as well to not just knock the ball away, but to get the pick 6, which you love. I mean, the difference between an incompletion and a pick 6 is huge. So go for the pick 6 there. That's what he did. Just an incredible play. And this is the stuff he'll be able to do consistently, is he is the kind of guy who can come back like that and almost takes away, he basically makes the field shorter because there's just a section in the field you don't want to go to on specific plays with Surtain out there. So yeah, I was blown away, quite frankly, by Patrick Surtain. I thought he was great, and he looked like a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback out there. Again, Minnesota did not have a lot of their starters out there. I'm not sure if they had any starter out there. So we'll have to wait and see how does he do against actual NFL starters. We'll have to wait and see how does he do in an actual NFL game. But from what I've seen, he looks like he could be incredible. That's what he looks like to me. And especially, it's just a perfect fit. You put him in this scheme, it just completely works. He is built to be a zone corner, and not in a negative way, in a positive way. I don't mean that as an insult, because he's in the Vic Fangio scheme. This is just such a perfect fit. It's so fun to watch, and I think he's going to be great. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.